watching Old and Broke. They say inflation is 2.9%. Tell that to the family staring at a $347 grocery bill and still forgetting the eggs. The Bureau of Labor Statistics calls it cooling inflation. Translation, you're broke, but officially you're fine. Half the country now admits groceries are their #1 financial stress. You feel it every time you swipe the card. The math doesn't add up, but the receipt never lies. Eggs, up about 24 to 41% this year. Beef, climbing even faster, with ranchers warning another $1 a pound by the holidays. Shrimp, depends which government tariff roulette wheel you spin. 26% if it comes from India, 15% if it's from Ecuador. Bananas, a 10% tariff from Guatemala and Peru, hidden for now by importers, but waiting to hit your cart. Even coffee isn't safe. Droughts and heat mean that morning cup is inflating in silence. Meanwhile, the official story is prices are stable. Stable for who? The Bureau of Labor Statistics loves to brag. 94,000 prices tracked nationwide. Sounds airtight, right? Here's the footnote. For each item, they only check about 10 to 12 samples per area. 10. That's not economics. That's improv night at a casino. Milk in Fresno, shrimp in Miami, bananas in Des Moines. A handful of receipts gets turned into your official inflation rate. And if those 10 samples come in low, congratulations. The nation just got a statistical discount. Too bad your receipt didn't. And it gets better. If steak runs hot, they assume you'll switch to chicken. If shrimp gets slapped with a 26% tariff, they swap in catfish. This isn't measuring inflation. It's hiding it behind substitution tricks and sample size theater. Remember, they don't need to measure reality. They just need a number Wall Street and Washington can both smile at. If the CPI ran your grocery store, here's how it works. You walk in for ribeye at $12, now it's $18. Do they charge you more? No, they hand you ground beef instead, stamp your receipt, no inflation, and wink. When beef doubles, you get beans. When beans spike, welcome to your new diet, ramen. And the CPI calls that consumer choice. Oh, and if your iPhone costs more this year, they'll say it didn't because the camera got a little sharper. That's a hedonic adjustment. Translation, your wallet's lighter, but hey, at least your selfies are in 4K. This isn't measuring inflation. It's officiating your downgrade and calling it progress. Here's the part they can't cover up. Straight from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, every single grocery category went up last year. Meat, poultry, fish, eggs, up 5.6%. Sugar and sweets, up 6%. Fruits, veggies, dairy, all red arrows. Even after substitutions and hedonic adjustments, the truth leaked through. You're not choosing cheaper food, you're being cornered into it. And housing? That's the elephant they bury. Rent is the single biggest household expense, but the CPI smooths it over months, waters it down with something called owner's equivalent rent, and tells you shelter's only up 5%. Meanwhile, Zillow says your rent is up 12%, and your landlord doesn't take statistical smoothing as payment. This isn't math, it's a cover story. They can swap ribeye for ramen. They can call a higher rent imagined ownership. But at the end of the day, your receipt and your lease don't lie. Meet Dorothy. She's 73, lives on Social Security. Her cost of living adjustment this year, 2.5%. Her cereal box, down 15%. Same price, less food. Washington calls it adjusted for shrinkflation. Translation, when a package shrinks, the statisticians don't count it. Or worse, they tell you you're getting more because the packaging is easier to carry. That's a real thing. Hedonic adjustment. Show me the line on Dorothy's Social Security check that says, bonus dollars for missing cornflakes. It doesn't exist. Shrinkflation isn't an economic adjustment, it's theft. Polite, invisible theft. Signed off by the very people who told Dorothy she's fine. And here's the kicker. When Dorothy switches from cereal to oatmeal because it stretches her budget, the CPI applauds. They call it consumer choice. No, it's coerced downgrade. The illusion of stability bought by stealing from her pantry. This didn't start last year. It started in 1913. Since then, your dollar has lost 96% of its value. A silver dollar from back then buys you $32.63 today. But here's the trick. They didn't steal your money. They bent the ruler you measure it with. Every time inflation spiked, they updated the CPI, not to improve accuracy, to camouflage the crime. In the 70s, when housing costs exploded, they swapped out real home prices for owner's equivalent rent, a fantasy number no family ever paid. When food costs surged, they invented substitutions. When products shrank, they blessed it with hedonic adjustments. It's not measurement, it's camouflage. A century-long con where every revision made reality blurrier and the theft harder to see. This isn't miscalculation, it's engineered theft. Social Security, pegged to CPI, military pensions, CPI. If CPI underreports by just 2%, that's $240 stolen from every retiree living on a $1,000 check. Every year, forever. Multiply that across tens of millions, and you see why Washington never fixes the yardstick. Meanwhile, the FTC's own reports show grocery giants padding margins, raising prices far beyond costs. Call it greedflation or just theft with better branding. Either way, you're not just being overcharged. You're being skimmed twice, once by the grocer, again by the government. Here's what's next. America imports $75 billion in food every year. Tariffs just slap 17% on tomatoes. Labor raids leave fields empty. Supply chains jammed. Today it's $6.23 eggs. Last year they spiked 80%, yet CPI adjustments made it look like half that. Tomorrow it won't just be eggs. It'll be your retirement check, swallowed by a statistical black hole. If they can erase 27% egg inflation today, what do you think they'll erase when your pension won't buy pet food? The storm isn't coming, it's here. The only question is, are you still measuring it with their bent ruler? There's one measure they can't bend. In 1964, 1 ounce of silver bought a week's groceries. In 2025, 1 ounce of silver still buys a week's groceries. That's not a coincidence, it's proof. The silver never changed, the dollar rotted. A paper dollar from 1964 buys you nothing today, but a silver dollar still fills a cart. That's your shield. Real, physical, unprintable. Every ounce in your hand isn't just savings. It's a vote against their scam ruler. They swear inflation is 2.9%. Your receipt swears you're being robbed. That's not a gap. That's a crime scene. And the evidence is right there, in ink, at the bottom of your bill. Next paycheck, take 1 week's grocery money and convert it into silver. Not someday, not when it feels safe. Before that same receipt climbs again. Because every delay is another week stolen. Gone forever. There's only one inflation number that matters. The one you already hold in your hand. You're watching Old and Broke. We don't predict the future, we just pay attention. Hit like, hit subscribe, stay sharp.